Good morning, Oluwaseun.
Hi, Alexa. Morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
I am so excited to be speaking to you. You're an associate professor at CPUT's Chemical Engineering faculty.
Yes.
And as all of us know, the pandemic has really brought challenges, and I'm wondering how you in your lecturing, how you were challenged this year.
All right. So the way I was challenged this year was that certain subject, this particular subject, that I worked on, which I presented at the Richard conference, was it's called project, chemical engineering project. And the essence of the project is to expose students to basic concepts of research. So students would have to conduct experiments in the laboratory. They will write proposals, they will conduct experiments, and after conducting the experiment, they would then present, their findings, and they would also need to articulate their findings in written reports. But the moment COVID-19 happened, it wasn't business as usual. So there was national lockdown, so students couldn't come on campus. The other thing that added to the difficulty was the fact that this particular cohort of students was the last group of students for a BTech curriculum, because the curriculum was being phased out to be replaced by BN. So we had to look for an urgent intervention in order to, urgent intervention. We want to fulfill the requirements, for them to graduate, but at the same time, we don't want to compromise academic integrity.
So, Oluwaseun, what were they supposed to do on campus?
So what they would have come to do on campus was to conduct experiments. Would have had to distribute them into different groups. Different lecturers within the Department of Chemical Engineering would have had to look after them, mentor them, supervise them. They would have had to conduct research projects within the department, but that couldn't happen because of the national lockdown, and also the directive from the executive management that every teaching and learning activity had to be conducted remotely.
So, what opportunity did you see in this crisis?
So the opportunity we saw in this crisis was that, prior to then, the part-time cohort would work in the industry, because our part-time cohort of students were working in the industry and then doing their BTech degree on a part-time basis. And then we had the full-time students on campus. So the part-time students had access to the industry, which the full-time students didn't have. So what then we did was, combine this cohort. We paired them such that you have within each pair, you have one person from the full time, one person from the part time students. So we paired them and then grouped them again, so that those who the full time now had access into the industry, because the full time didn't have access into the university because we had to work remotely, but the part time still had access into the industry. So we paired them, and thankfully the industry allowed us. So we're now able to have access into the industry. So the other thing that then ensued was the fact that the students would have had to be supervised by my colleagues only with the academics. But with this, with the alternative route, each pair now had an expert from the university and an expert from the industry.
So, if I understand correctly, Oluwaseun,
Yeah.
students now, because of the pandemic, had exposure to the workplace.
Yes. So the other thing, so it wasn't just about fulfilling, the requirement of them getting a BTech degree, but we also saw the opportunity of work preparedness. Being able to get transition them as they go into the industry. So we had that on one side, and the other thing on the other side was that yes, they didn't have access to come into on campus to do things. They had access into the industry, but the other part now was, they needed to write. they needed to present. So that was where the virtual classroom now came to the fore. So we employed Google Classroom, and with Google Classroom, you can use Google Docs, where you can have real time. So multiple people within the group can be writing on one document at the same time, and the experts, the supervisor from the industry and from the university can give them input. So you have continuous feedback, you have iterative improvement on their proposals. So it wasn't just about the access to the industry, but it was also about the fact that there was collaborative creation of knowledge, when using this route.
It's so insightful and encouraging to hear how you have seen opportunity in the midst of crisis.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, Oluwaseun.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Alexa.